moving now to Karan. Karan, as you all know, is the head of Google Cloud, and he's in this job only for 2 months. So he's got the additional, call it a challenge of finding his own place in the organization while he's a luminary in his own rights, and also at the same time handling COVID and its aftermath in his company. So, Karan, please enlighten us with your thoughts. What are the top 5 things that you would do?
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I really hope everyone's strong, safe, and making the best of the situation that we can. This really is so unprecedented. All of the speakers spoke about all assumptions being smashed. It's never something we planned for. But what is really important for me is the way our country is responding. I think in the best possible way, given our means and our complexity. I could not think of a better way that our country could have responded. Ajay, one of the testimonies for me is that on a Saturday afternoon, we have 570 people on this bridge talking to us and listening to us. That tells us people are willing to engage, wanting to learn, and that's a very, very positive thing. This is throwing up challenges every single day on many fronts. Technologically, if I see, which is the industry I come from, and by the way, your point was that what are the 5 things we would do on day one? I believe, and I agree with Varun, that those things have started. Day one's not going to be radically different from where we are today. Not more than 20-25% of the workforce is going to be able to come into offices, at least in the early days. So I don't expect anything radically changing. So I'll talk about what are the things we're doing now that will only amplify as we get to our workplaces. On the technology front, which is our core as a company, it's extremely challenging. BCP, which everyone had a plan on, is not working for most people because nobody planned for the scope and scale of complexity and challenges that would come in. So that is being challenged. And I'm seeing it not just in the small customers, in the largest of customers. I'm talking about the top 5 in every single customer vertical. And I'll share some of those things with you. So it's challenging the most mature of customers, while of course the ones that are early stages of adoption of technology. For employees, I sense from the early kind of questions around how we're going to handle this, is getting to fatigue, is getting to anxiety. I'm seeing that a lot of our employees are not just engineered to work from home. Their home places are not conducive for multiple people in a home working from home for long hours. It's just not set up that way. So that's starting to settle in. Equally so for our case, while there is a challenge in the market, we are actually ramping. We are hiring on scale. I'm literally interviewing, tens of people over a week, and we are onboarding these people. And while we are very excited about bringing these people in, a challenge also is how do we create the experience? It's so important as a new employee walks in, how do we recreate the experience? A very important constituent for us is our partner community, which is how we go to market to our customers. These are largely small and medium businesses. They are concerned, they're very anxious, and that's another community we are very concerned about. My big learning, and I'll reiterate what was just said by Hari, my big learning is there is absolutely no replacement for engagement and outreach. That is the single most important thing that you can do in this time consistently with all your constituents. I'll touch on a few things. On the technology front, as I said, it's challenging the largest of customers. So our big challenge was, how do we make sure that the best of technology that is available, and most of you know that technology company create tiers of usage, a high-end tier and then a basic tier. What we thought is, how do we democratize that and take the best of our technology to every single customer out there? And the one big challenge was people were not engineered for 100% work from home. Most customers had work from home philosophy set up, but for a part of their workforce, 20, 30, 40%. When it stretched to 100%, they started breaking apart. And then we saw a host of security issues starting hitting people as well, which was very concerning. So what we did is we took our kind of premium tier of working from home capability, which started with what we call as Google Meet or Hangouts in the past. We took up that capability and opened it up for any customer who wants to use it. And we wanted to remove the barrier of getting into commercial conversations at this stage. So it said, use it for the next 6 months. Nobody's going to talk to you about commercials, but open up and take it to customers. We are seeing hundreds of customers. And I'm not at liberty to say the names, but this is names that provide to you on a daily basis, the largest banks that you work with, the largest telecom companies that you work with. In tens of thousands, we had to turn up literally in 24 hours capability to work from home for these entities. The mission we went out with is serve, not sell. That's kind of the philosophy we took when we went out. And then we realized another important aspect, that while we addressed the the businesses, the consumers were not addressed. The consumers were still struggling with variants of what they were using, and there were challenges in both in scale as well as in performance. So what we just did yesterday, which was another marquee thing, is we opened that same technology to any user in the country, across actually globally. Any consumer, individual consumer wants to use technology, that technology is available, again, free of cost to that individual. We are seeing a take-up rate of about 3 million users per day. Our usage on the platform has gone up 30x. So I think we I call it the democratization of technology at this time, which is an important factor in bringing it. Employees, which is the second constituent, many people have said multiple things. It's so important that we engage in many levels. At a country level, we have a very large workforce in the country, within our different businesses, within the small work groups. So we are doing a host of things, and a lot of the people have spoken about the weekly town halls, the fun activities. Actually, some very interesting things we are doing. We just started a campaign on creating a music video for all the employees to sort of send some inputs, and we create a music video, engaging them in fun activities, things like yoga sessions, small capabilities, but engaging people. We have a very interesting program we launched, which we call as Googlers engaging Googlets. Googlets are the children of Googlers. So a very engaging program on how parents at this time can engage young children in these challenging times. Ergonomics and educating people about working from home and all the nuances that come from a complex work environment at your home. That's something that we are working on. So a host of activities, that is engaging employees, because that is a very, very important part of what we do in this business. Government then tends to be a very important constituent for us as well, simply given the task at hand and that they are limited now in terms of assets they have and people they have working with them. We worked a lot with the government on during these times. Again, using technology in a massive way. The first challenge for us was to curb the misinformation. That was a very important challenge thrown to us by the government. So we brought to bear all of our assets, start from search, from maps, from YouTube, and even things like Google Pay. We brought those assets together and made sure that information was being clustered in the right manner and all through authentic sources. So people could actually come to these properties, and they come in the billions to these properties. They could get a single source of information which is authenticated. On properties like Google Pay, we created a COVID-19 spot, which actually helps people to not just identify which grocery stores are open in their nearest area, but equally so, allow them to engage and support the government in initiatives. The whole PM Cares initiative the government launched, we are now clocking over 105 crores in terms of contribution through Google Pay for the government as well. And then, of course, there is a lot of the global work that we did, including a very large grant we came out with in excess of $800 million for different businesses and governments across the world. A very marquee one was the partnership with Apple, which was again breakthrough in my own sense about how two organizations that have traditionally competed in the world have now collaborated to do things like contract tracing. So that work is underway as well. And the list continues, enabling teachers, students in the hundreds of millions to embrace technology. My view as we step out of COVID, Ajay and team, tech will be viewed very differently. The technology nuances, the biases that have existed, the assumptions that people have made in embracing technology will fundamentally get rebooted. Organizations will have to break a lot of tradition as they think about technology. I just give you one example of an organization that has over 400,000 people in the country, which is TCS. And TCS just declared that they're going to set a new normal that by 2025, only 25% of their workforce will be in offices, 75% will work from home. Now, they're learning from this experience and actually changing and transforming our scale. That will completely change their cost modeling. Besides being ready for all these eventualities, it will change their cost economics as they go to market as well. So people will have to break tradition as they come out of this. If we go back to the usual, that's the most dangerous situation. So I think everybody's got to watch out for that. Technology has also been fairly hammered by a lot of regulatory barriers around itself. I believe those barriers will be lowered. If not totally gone, the barriers will be lowered. And the workplace will be very, very different. Just to sort of say what I said, I don't believe the workplace is going to be ever the same again. Forget about the near future. The near future is going to start seeing about 25 to 30% of the people coming in. So things like employee safety is absolutely paramount. We'll have to think about the whole emotional thing of people coming back to work because a part of the workforce is coming. A part of the workforce, a large part of the workforce is going to be back at home. So the emotional aspects of handling those are going to be very, very critical. You know, so managing the whole employee experience is going to be very, very critical as we go through this change. The second thing I believe, which is very important, is especially just given how customers will look at technology as they come out of COVID, we will have to have a very strong outreach to customers. And we've started that. We have started that very extensively. We'll have to support them in their absolute relook at how they craft their BCP and they adopt technology for as extreme as 100% work from home as the new normal and implementing these breakthroughs. We will continue working very strongly with the government, not just to fight the fire, but fundamentally establish a very different model of working between governments and businesses. So we are already starting to talk to people like the MSME ministry to allow them to engage with MSMEs in a way that they empower them, not just through schemes and incentives, but empower them with technology. The government's own adoption will have to go through a very radical change, and we're already starting to see some of that. I just sort of, my only one wish is that we don't gravitate back to the old ways of working as we come out of this and we take the learning. One very interesting thing I'll end it this with. I live in a community in Gurgaon, which is of course going through its own stressful times. Everyone, so everyone's kind of wanting to go out and start walking in the greens, and there was this massive challenge happening between people to say, what is the difference between walking in your home and walking on the ground in the lawns, so long as you're keeping distance. So a few of us set a tone that walking in the balconies is possible. So we started a campaign about walking in balconies, and yesterday I clocked about 20,000 steps, which is 15 kilometers walking in the balcony. So we're doing some of these things to educate people about the new normal and be ready for the new normal. So those are the few things, Ajay, and I'll pause and hand it back to you.
Thank you, Karan. Some great words of wisdom. Apart from the fact that 20,000 steps is showing you're looking a bit slimmer, but what I gathered the best out of your talk was the democratization of technology. Sometimes incrementalized changes don't bring tectonic impacts on certain things, and events like these, and that probably runs across all our four speakers today, that they have found amidst adversity and severe adversity that too some real optimism and initiatives and things to look forward to in future.